you look at the way they build the wide receiver room, and you look at the structure of this offense. Metcalf, the way he plays and what they do and how they utilize him, he's not really a fit for this scheme. And I'm not saying that you can't find ways to use him. But LaFleur's offense, these guys are interchangeable, working at different positions in the slot, out wide, in motion, and doing all these different things. I mean, DK Metcalf is a monster. He's the guy that runs vertical. You throw the ball up to him. You run deep crossers with them and deep posts. And like, yeah, those things are in LaFleur's offense, but those aren't what you do all the time, right? And like, it's just not really something that, like, you're going to go pay 5 years, 150 million for and give up a two for. So,
and you felt that way all along, right? You were not. To be clear, you were never pushing for that move.
Yeah, like I didn't think that the DK Metcalf one was something that. I mean, if it would have happened, I would have been very surprised. I mean, I'll just put it that way. And that's not me saying that I don't think DK Metcalf is a good player. I think he's very good, and I think for the right offense, he could be very good for it. Like when he was in Seattle, and that's the type of offense that they played, he was very good for it. It wasn't a good fit for Green Bay, and obviously that's the way Goody approached it. Now we go to the second, the second question. That's Tay. That one surprised me, and it surprises me because there were a lot of reasons why it could have worked, and why it may have, and why it should have worked, and it just didn't. And we saw the deal he got with the Rams, right? At, what was it, 23 a year? I think 1 year was essentially guaranteed, right? 26 million.
26 million guaranteed, right?
Yeah. So essentially, the first year is guaranteed, and we'll see how the next year. I don't know if there's a roster bonus or whatever tied into the next. I have no idea. But regardless, 23 or in some change a year. And I just don't think Green Bay was going to get to that number. And essentially is what I'm saying. And we don't even know if there was tons of communication, if there was any communication at all. So to me, it made sense. Maybe to the team, it didn't make sense. And that's kind of where we're at right now, right? And I, as a fan now, and as someone that played with Davante, I wanted it really bad, right? Because I know the type of value he brings to a locker room, to an offense, to a young wide receiver room. So to me, I really wanted it because I'd love to see him back there and bringing that experience back to Lambeau Field and to that locker room, but just wasn't meant to be, right? It just wasn't meant to be. And for Davante, gets to stay out west. He went out there to Vegas. He's from out there. It makes sense for him and his family. I understand it from that standpoint. So, you got to look at it from both sides, right? Green Bay makes the decision on their side not to even pursue it if they did it all. And Tay makes the decision on his side to stay out west. And it's a good fit for him with Stafford and that type of offense. It's the same offense that he ran in Green Bay with LaFleur. It's the same exact
He's
offense.
playing for LaFleur's brother.
Yes, like exactly. He's in the same scheme that he thrived in with a very good quarterback. So like for him, that is a very good fit. And he's got another great receiver with Puka and a great running back. I mean, it's a very good fit. So it's a good decision by him.
Here's the question that I have for both you and for our fans. Are you disappointed that they didn't look, I'm telling you, and I feel like, I don't break a whole lot of news around here, but I think if you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure out that I might have corresponded with a couple people that would know what they're talking about on this. Does it bother you as a Packers fan that they didn't even inquire about him? Do you feel better if they say, look, we want you back, but we're talking $18 million a year, not $23 million a year? Do you feel better if they talk to him and say, here's kind of what we have in mind, and then it doesn't happen and he goes to the Rams anyway? Or do you feel better if the Packers make a strong offer and he chooses the Rams? Because I'm sorry. It's great that he wants to stay on the West Coast, but I don't believe that that is the deal breaker for him on where he was going. He went to the Jets, for crying out loud. So I don't know, when I look at it, I don't know if you as a Packers fan should feel better, worse, or maybe it doesn't matter. But I know there's a section of the Packers fan base that when we say they were in the conversation, some of them feel better. And some of them are like, well, that doesn't matter. You didn't get the guy. Well, this isn't they were in the conversation scenario. This was they never talked to him scenario. So does that make you feel better, worse, or does it not matter?
I'll tell you, it doesn't make me feel better. Because listen, and I'll just put it it doesn't make me feel better just from the standpoint of the way the receiver room is right now, right? I'm a fan of Christian Watson, and I think he's good. And I've gone through the injury that he's gone through multiple times, and it's an injury you can recover from. You can be good after you recover from it. It takes a while, though. So, while I think he will be fine and he will be back to himself, he won't be back to himself till later on in the year, if not a full year, which is the end of the football season. So, take him out of the equation now and look at the wide receiver room. And you look at what's going on in play there, it needs another addition, so to speak, right? And that's kind of where I look at the room, and I think for me, adding a guy like Tay would have been really good. So, the fact there wasn't even a conversation, I guess it doesn't make me feel great. We talked about this way back when Mark Murphy wrote that his last letter about urgency this offseason. That was a big word that we talked about what does that mean? What does urgency mean? Does that mean they're going to really put the pedal to the metal in the weight room during OTAs? No, that's not what that means. That is not what that means. I can assure you that's not what that is. It means this time. It means around this time. That's what urgency means. So that's what I was expecting. Goody may have something else in mind, which that's fine. Maybe LaFleur has something else in mind. That's fine. We just have to wait and see, right? And I'm not jumping the gun on it. We'll just have to wait and see and go from there.
So one of the things we try to do around here is not be overreactionary. We kind of joke about it from time to time, and we do some overreactions from time to time as a shtick, but we try not to be. And let's be honest, free agency, the negotiating window doesn't even open for another hour and 45 minutes. So I think we probably, because I saw it, Twitter is down, by the way. It's not us that's down, it's all of Twitter, which now that I'm paying for that, I'm less than pleased.
Tough day for that.
Yeah, perfect day. And no news going on in the football world. But look, as Brian said, he may have other thoughts. He may have other places he wants to spend. I know that there are people in that building that like Trey Hendrickson a lot. Whether or not they're willing to trade for him, again, I don't know. And Goody, as is his job, isn't confiding in me or Domofsky or Bill Huber or anybody else telling him, yeah, I'm thinking we should trade for Trey Hendrickson, or I'm not interested in Davante. Now, I wish he would have responded to my text. Maybe he did by not responding. But the bottom line is that there's a lot of ball game left, as our old pal Aaron Nagler likes to say. So it's not over. It hasn't even started. But if I'm a Packers fan, I have some apprehension about the wide receiver room. I feel like they're and look, the free agency class stinks. So you didn't go after Davante. The other options, Chris Godwin, he's had good years. I'm not saying he hasn't, but that doesn't get you real excited. The draft class, not as good as previous wide receiver draft classes. So are they going to run it back without Watson for 2/3 of the season, with Romeo Doubs with I can tell you, I'm not the only one who doesn't know what the hell to expect from him at this point, both with the concussions and kind of the unusual behavior. Wicks and Reed, I still think have boatloads of potential, but they combined to drop almost 20 balls last year. And then Bo Melton, who I love as a person, and Malik Heath are still in the mix. But if you don't upgrade that position at all, what are your plans? Maybe it's going to be a tight end-centric offense. I don't know, but it does not appear on the surface that any major change is going to come to that room, even if you draft a guy in the third round. So here's the question that we have for today, and we'll take some calls on it on the Carbless Talk and text line. You can always text as well, and then we'll get into the YouTube comments as well coming up. But two things: one, are you panicking already? I hope you're not. No. It's too early to panic. But two, as I asked Brian, are you disappointed that the Packers made no effort to bring back Davante Adams? I'm on board with DK Metcalf, too rich for my blood, both financially and giving up a second-round pick for him. I'm not interested. And Goody apparently wasn't either. So I'm not crushing them for that. The Davante one, and maybe you and I are biased because you played with him, and I like him a lot, and he's one of my guys. But I still feel like it made so much sense that I'm really surprised that there wasn't even a conversation.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that I'm clear on it and you're clear on it. Like, that's what I'm disappointed in, right? Like the fact that it didn't get across the line isn't what I'm so upset about, right? Like, that's not what it is, right? This is free agency. Anything can happen, right? Like that, and that's the way this thing goes. Like, it's just that there wasn't even a conversation. That to me is it, right? Like, if there was a conversation, that's a different story, right? Like, okay, there was at least some interest there, and if Tay wasn't playing at a certain level, I guess, right? Like, if he was completely dropped off, this is a different story, right? Like, and to me, that's not something that I've seen from him. And this was with the Jets offense. I get, they had their own issues, but even with the Jets offense, he played well, right? Like, and that seemed difficult to do at times. So, that's the reason why I'm a little taken back by it. Besides that, I'm not mad that they didn't get it across the line. That right. Is not the case at all. So I just want to make sure that when we hear people call in and text that, you and I don't get crushed for saying you're mad he didn't reset. No, that's not it. That's not it at all. This is the funny money season, man. Like, anything can happen. You can't be emotional about players going to different teams. Like, this is the way things happen this time of year. You just gotta roll with it.